It's showtime, folks!
Feel free to check out my Tessa Blanchard video on YouTube. Talk about why she's the most talented knockouts champion of all time. So we're about to hop right on into this. I'm on Periscope on YouTube. About to hop right on into this. Not gonna waste any more time. We started off with Petey Williams versus Matt Sydal. Petey Williams versus Rich Swann. Matt Sydal was on commentary. This was a pretty good back and forth. They had about the same match that they had, I think it was either last week or a couple of weeks ago. That one was good as well. I enjoyed it very much. The finish I find pretty funny when wrestlers, it's like wrestlers turn into the dumbest people on the face of the earth when somebody jumps on the apron or is about to come down on the ringside. Like, oh, well, let me see what this person on the outside of the ring is gonna do way down the ramp. But it's okay because Petey Williams needed a win and he got it here. They protected Rich Swann with Matt Sydal coming down to ringside, and the storyline with Matt Sydal and Rich Swann moves on. Petey Williams got the win. I enjoyed the match very much. Rich Swann said that he did not need Matt Sydal anymore. He did not want his help, and I'm interested to see where this storyline goes. So, I mean, I'm expecting a fantastic matchup between the two. So, moving on, we had the Desi Hit Squad versus Joe Hendry and Grado. And, you know, many weeks I've said that the Desi Hit Squad is just missing something. I'm not sure what it is. And as they were coming down the ringside, it hit me. They're missing the beatdown on Gama Singh. The Road Warrior Paul Ellering beatdown of the manager, they are missing that. That's what I want to say. I think they beat down Gama Singh, have a nice beatdown, they'll go to the next level. But as it stands right now, they're very talented workers. I like the guys, don't get me wrong, it's just that they're missing that next step. As for this match, Joe Hendry Grado, Joe Hendry did most of the work here, and it didn't get a whole lot of time, 4 or 5 minute match. Grado screwed it up in the end, and we finally got the segment that we've been waiting on for weeks now. Katarina, post-match, said that she was done with Grado, and she tried to go for Joe Hendry. She could go Joe Hendry, but Joe Hendry extended his ballot, his first ballot, into the Homeboy Hall of Fame when he turned down Katarina and chose his bro, Grado. Bros over girls is what Joe Hendry said. And quite the development I thought we were going to have in Joe Hendry, Katarina, a partnership there. But it turns out that we will not. We will see how it all plays out going forward. So moving on, we had KM and Falaba. They went to Scarlett Bordeaux, said that they learned a lot from her. They thanked her, and Scarlett Bordeaux said that she had an idea to segment with him from there. Maybe we'll see how that turns out. Maybe that's next week. We'll see how it all turns out. Next up, we had Eli Drake coming out from ringside. Talked about how he beat up the jobbers. He issued an open challenge, and Stone Rockwell came down to ringside. And I gotta admit that I didn't know much about this guy. He's apparently a character on Impact on a Twitch channel, so I don't know much about him. But for whatever reason, and I'm gonna say this like I said on Twitter, very few people are gonna get this reference. Very few. You just had to be up that night. Stone Rockwell reminds me of hashtag Chief Engineer. You just had to be up that night. It was WrestleMania weekend. It was on Impact's Twitch channel, and you just had to be up that night. Very few people are gonna get that reference, but the very few that get it very laughed out loud, just trust me. But Stone Rockwell, Eli Drake, he came down. We had a squash match, and not even a squash match, just a gravy train hit, and then the match was over. I gotta say that Eli Drake, and I've said this in previous weeks, I don't have that much of a problem with what they're doing with him right now, but I think he's much more of a player than what they are treating him right now. He's getting thrown in, I don't want to say nothing segments, but he can be used very much more, and I just want to see him in bigger segments because he's much more of a talent than these nothing segments that he's been in lately. Not that I have an issue with them if they're leading to something. We'll see how that all plays out. So the Lucha Bros after that cut a promo. I gotta say that I enjoyed them very much. Phoenix has some personality, much more than they let it come out in either Lucha Underground or Impact Wrestling. I gotta say that I like to see some more of that. And even if it's just a couple of words, a few words here or there out in front of the audience, I like to see more of that. I very much enjoyed that video package. Impact video production team, one of the best in the business today. I love it. And they also invited Brian Cage to join them as well to take on OVE. So after that, we had the Knockouts Championship match. Current Knockouts champion, the Walking Mean Streak, Tessa Blanchard versus Su Yung. And this match was decent. I was just talking about, if you go back to the video I was just talking about Tessa Blanchard and her versatility inside the ring. She hit a cutter off the top rope, and she took the brunt of it, by the way. But it was a nice maneuver. This was a good match. It got it well enough time. It had a commercial break in the middle of the match, though. I very much hate those, but it was a well enough match. They made the right decision. Tessa Blanchard, the Walking Mean Streak, picked up the victory, and we had quite the segment afterwards. Su Young's music hit, and they beat the bridesmaids came down. They beat down Tessa Blanchard. They were putting Tessa Blanchard in the casket, and out comes Allie for the save. Surprise, surprise, because Allie making the save for Tessa Blanchard makes no sense at all. But when they say that Allie wanted to save anybody from getting put into that casket, it makes a lot of sense. Allie as the face coming down to save anybody from getting put in that casket. And I like how they kept it to the standpoint to where Tessa Blanchard got up and it was like, man, get off of me. I don't need y'all help. So they kept Tessa Blanchard protected in that stand right. And I like the segment after that. Maybe we're headed for another triple threat. Maybe we're headed for Tessa Blanchard versus Allie for the title. We'll see how it all plays out. There's a lot of questions up in the air. When is Rosemary going to come back? I'm very much looking forward to this Knockouts division, where it's going to go next. Taya's in the mix. Excuse me. We'll see how she gets put in the mix as well. I'm very interested to see what the next Knockouts title match will be. So next up, we had Konnan and King. They met with the commission, the real OGs, and this was a fantastic segment. I enjoyed it very much. It ended up with what I thought all along. I've been saying for months now that we would be building to Bound for Glory LAX versus the OGs in one last blow-off match. And I expect LAX to win that match, and I am not sure what the stipulation will be. But Konnan will be wrestling in this match. King will be wrestling in this match. It will be interesting. I think they'll tear down the house. They'll keep Konan's involvement to a minimum. And I expect a lot of great things from this match. I expect it to be just as good as the match that they had at Slammiversary. So I'm very interested in this match. I'm very interested to see how it turns out. Next up, we had OVE versus Zachary Wentz, Ace Austin, and Trey Miguel. This was a very short match, but a crazy match. A lot of stuff going on in this match. Ace Austin hit a blockbuster tope. I've never seen that before. That's a new one for me. And this was a phenomenal match. A phenomenal match given the time that it was given. Not a lot of time, but the guys, Zachary Wentz, Trey Miguel, and Ace Austin, they got a lot of offense in those 4 to 5 minutes. OVE picks up the victory, and rightfully so. They cut a promo after the match saying that they were coming for Brian Cage, they were coming for the Lucha Bros, and OVE is back to doing OVE things. They looked great out there, and I cannot wait to see what goes on next between OVE, either Brian Cage or the Lucha Bros. I cannot wait to see what goes on. Maybe we'll get something that goes on at Bound for Glory. We'll see how that all turns out. Next up, we had Austin Aries come out with Moose, and we had to get the promo from Moose. It came out with Killer Kross as well. We had to get the promo from Moose. Obviously, when we get the heel turn from somebody, you have to come out and explain yourself. That's like the new rule, or the old standing rule in wrestling. You gotta have an explanation. So Moose came out. He was very believable. said that when he was in the hospital, Eddie Edwards did not check up on him, so that was your reason right there. I very much enjoyed that. He also said that Austin Aries gave him advice to stay away from the fans and worry about himself, so I very much enjoyed the promo from Moose. It was a very convincing heel promo. I was worried about where Moose was gonna go because I did not want his momentum to be stopped. He was getting over very well as a face. I will see how this all turns out in the future, but going forward, this was a good first step for Moose, and we'll see how it all plays out from here. From there, Johnny Impact came down, and I gotta say that this is very much a surprise. I was waiting for Eddie Edwards to come down the entire promo, excuse me, and he came down and he just said that he has a title shot against Austin Aries at Bound for Glory. So, I gotta say this. I don't have a problem with Impact versus Aries at Bound for Glory for the title. It's gonna be a phenomenal match. But I do have a problem with a wrestler coming down and just saying they have a title shot without any story being built up, without even earning the shot. So I have a problem from that standpoint. I also have a problem from the standpoint that I thought Eddie Edwards would be the guy holding up the title at Bound for Glory. I really wanted to see that happen. In my estimation, it'll now be Eddie Edwards versus Moose. Eddie Edwards should win that match. But with Impact getting the title shot, I expect Johnny Impact and Austin Aries to tear down the house. I don't like the way it came about, but I'm very much looking forward to the match. During this segment, we had a lot of back and forth between Johnny Impact and Austin Aries. It ended with the three beating down Johnny Impact, and these guys, I gotta say, they need a nickname. They are a stable now. Like I said, two is a duo. Once you get that third guy in there, you gotta name it something. When Hall and Nash was in WCW, they wasn't the NWO yet. When Hogan came in, bam, you gotta name it. You gotta name it something. They need a name. They're just three guys walking around, but they are very believable. Austin Aries is the guy on the mic. Cross and Moose is the muscle. And we'll see how this all turns out with these guys. They're looking very good. And I'm very interested to see where their storyline goes going forward. So that was it for this episode of Impact. I very much enjoyed it. They set up some things in the future. I thought some things could have been better. It wasn't the greatest episode of Impact, but it was enjoyable from the standpoint that things are moving forward, heading into Bound for Glory. We'll see how things all turn out heading into next week. We got LAX in action, Lucha Brothers, Code of Lee, Cage versus Congo Kong as well. That should be a fantastic matchup. Remember what they did the last time. I thought it was going to be a bad matchup, and they was just putting out Hurricane Rounders and top rope moves out of nowhere. So we'll see how it all turns out going next week. Let me know whether it's on Periscope, YouTube, Twitter, at OMG Corey B, and at 2SweetPod on Twitter. Let me know what you thought about Impact. What do you think about Bound for Glory heading forward? And what are your thoughts on the main event of Bound for Glory, Johnny Impact versus Austin Aries? Let me know. I'm out!